Hey guys, and welcome back. In this tutorial, I want to show you how to switch between different weapons that you're holding. So this is physically going to change the mesh of the weapon. Unfortunately, this tutorial won't show the changes in animation, setting up the weapon and firing a bullet or projectile. That'll have to be in another tutorial. But we're going to start by using this military weapon silver. You can find this in the marketplace for free. There's also a dark version available. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add this to our project. For me, since this is currently not available in UE5, I have to select Show All Projects, select this project, and pick the most recent version to try to be best compatible. There are instances where this may not work. But for this one has worked out all right for me. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the project. Okay, once that's done, we'll go into our project. Under our content, we have a new folder here, Military Weapons Silver. Inside the weapons folder, we can see some of the different weapons. Now, I think today we're going to work with the rifle and the rocket launcher. So in order to have these weapons be useful and execute blueprints later, we'll have to create a blueprint for them rather than just putting the static mesh on our player. So I'm going to create a blueprint, and it's going to be the actor class, and I'm going to call it BP underscore pistol. Go ahead and open that up. All right, once we do that, we're going to go back into our weapons and we're going to find the pistol static mesh. Let's see here. All right, the pistol skeletal mesh. Let's compile and save that. And then we're going to do the same thing for our rocket launcher. So we're going to create another blueprint in that same folder, make it an actor, call it BP underscore rocket launcher. Okay, let's go ahead and open that up as well. And go ahead and we'll get the rocket launcher mesh and place that in there. Okay. Later on, when we add function to these weapons, like the ability to actually shoot a projectile, we'll go ahead and we'll edit the blueprints of this. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to show physically switching the weapons. So now that we have those set, we're going to go and we're going to go back to our player. So let's go to our pawn, get our player here. Okay. So first we're going to go to our viewport. And for now I'm going to delete our old weapon. Go into the content drawer. We can go back to our weapons pack, weapons, and we'll get the blueprint for the pistol and put that under our mesh character. Now with the blueprint selected, we're going to want to change our parent socket. There we go. So if we change the parent socket, we're going to see the different sockets and bones on the character. In an earlier tutorial, we set up the right hand socket. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And now you can see the gun is moving with the character, but it's in the wrong placement. So let's go ahead and see if we can get that a little bit closer. Now again, just the way the character is animated with the other hand out here, it's not necessarily the best look for a pistol. However, that would be a whole nother tutorial. This one will be long enough as it is. So since the gun is moving above and below the hand but not close enough, if we change the grid size, it'll let us snap to smaller increments. We might be able to get something a little bit closer. Might have to go even smaller than that. And our camera's moving a little too quick, just making it difficult for us, so. This looks like it'll be pretty good for the moment. So now we're gonna go back and we're gonna do the same thing with our BP rocket launcher. Gonna go and put that under our mesh. It went under the pistol in this one. Just drag it back up and make sure it's at the same level as the pistol. We're gonna change that parent socket to the same thing. And it's up here, so we're gonna move it down. We're gonna try and find an orientation that might work best for this. That's really not too bad for the time being. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. Now, it's a good habit to make each of these weapons not visible, because we're gonna go ahead and make certain weapons visible as the gameplay begins. So let's go back to our character's event graph. We're gonna add a new input, and that input is gonna be basically our scroll wheel on our mouse changing the index of the weapon, so then we can switch between them. So in order to do that, we're gonna go back to our project settings and create a new input. And this input is gonna be an axis mapping. It's going to be called change equipped item. We're gonna tie this to our mouse. We're gonna tie it to the mouse wheel axis. So as we move our mouse wheel up and down, the number that is outputted will change. So as we get back to our character, we're going to, for the purposes of this, let's disable the voxel projectile that we had. Do some new work on that. So let's call this begin play. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so on begin play, we're going to create a array of the items that we want to be available to the player. So we're gonna start by making an array. If we right click, make array. And we can bring down each of our weapons that we would like. We can add those to the array. So if you wanted to change the different weapons that you could hold, you would need to change which items were in this array. So we're gonna make this a variable. By promoting to variable. I'm gonna name this variable equipped inventory. So now we have the variable over here. All right, so after that, we're going to want to get the equipped item. So we're going to create a new variable. We're going to call it equipped item, and we're going to change it to an integer. This defaults to 0. If we hit compile, we can see the default value of this is 0. And we're going to get a copy of the item or gun or tool that is at this array value. And we're going to get that, and we're going to set the visibility of it so that that item can now be shown, because before it was not. Make sure to check the visibility. And then we're going to attach component to component. And our input to that is going to be our array value. And we're also going to grab our mesh, and that's going to be our parent. For the socket, we can go back to one of our weapons, and we can look at the socket that we had it attached to in the preview. We can copy that text and paste it in the socket name. We also want to change these values to snap to target. Okay. So now when we begin play, it's going to create this array of weapons. It's going to get the equipped item, which right now just defaults to 0. And it's going to set the visibility of that item to true and attach it to the socket. So if we hit play, and it's a little hard to see the pistol because our animations aren't great the way they are, but you can see it in the hand there. Okay. So it went ahead and it took the first one and made it visible. So that's correct so far. So we're going to add in a new input action. So we created the input of change item, let's see here, change equipped. What did we make it as? Change equipped item. There we go. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to get the currently equipped item. And we're going to get the value of the axis here. So this is going to be the plus or minus based on our scroll wheel. We're going to truncate that and add that to the equipped item value. What this is going to do is it's going to create a value which is the sum of the access value and the equipped item value, which starts at 0. As this changes, the mouse axis is going to constantly change this equipped item number to change which item is selected. Now what we want to do from here is we want to find out the number that we're creating, is that a valid number in our array? Because currently our array only goes to 2. What if it's 3 or 0 or -1? Then we will want to check for is valid. And we're going to use our equipment inventory or equipped inventory array to check. And then from here, we're going to say we're going to do a branch to decide what to do for each situation, whether it's valid or not valid. Okay, so from this point, if the number we create is a valid index, we're going to want to set the equipped item to that number. If it is not a valid index of our array, we want to find out, is it above the value of our array or below? So for false, we're going to create another branch. See, is this value less than 0? If it is, then we're going to set the equipped item accordingly. If it is less than 0, then we're going to set the equipped item to 0. If it is not less than 0, we'll set the equipped item to 0. If it is less than 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to get our equipped inventory. We're going to find the last index of that. So by doing that, we're going to change this based on how large our inventory is. So if you want to add more weapons or tools, then this will change with that. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and comment this, and let's call it change equipped inventory. So this should successfully change the equipped item integer that we have as a variable. However, it is not updating the gun being displayed based on that variable. So if we go back to our begin play and we select all of these pieces from the get equipped item and forward, because this is something that we want to repeat every time we want to change the visibility. Let's collapse this into a function. Let's name this function let's call it equip item. So now every time that we change the weapon, we change the equipped item, we want to call equip item. So in all of these scenarios, we want to do that after we have changed the equipped item. And we want to feed it the array of our inventory. So now if we look closer at the equip item, it's going to set the visibility of the new item to true and attach it. However, we still have the issue of our old item still being there. So what we're going to do is move this back a little. We're going to do a for loop. And we're going to input our array into it. And every time this is called, we're going to take the array element, so each gun, and we're going to set visibility. And we're going to set the visibility of every item to false. And then after that, we're going to set the visibility of the one item that we want to keep to true. So let's compile and save this, and let's test and see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to change to third person. We can see our pistol is enabled right from the beginning because that's how we set it up. And then when I use the scroll button, it changes to our rocket launcher, back to our pistol. and we can use that accordingly. So thanks again for joining us on this tutorial. Hope to see you on the next one. Thanks.